Hey everybody. So tonight I want to give you a tip, and I want to remind people of a couple of things. First of all, I have Parkinson's. Second of all, I've worked for over 13 years now as a hospital administrator. And this is just my opinion. This is not me giving you medical advice. This is just what I think about for myself and what I've told my family. That advice is, if it's possible, if you have someone, a caregiver, a family member, a close friend, who can and is willing to be with you as an advocate for your care, when you go to the hospital, take that person with you. And if it's ever possible at all to have someone stay with you overnight, if you have to stay overnight in hospital, do that. If you do not have someone like that, if possible, hire what we call a sitter. A hospital sitter is someone who you will pay to stay with you overnight in your hospital room. And I'm going to tell you why. I am going to do that for myself. In this country, over 250,000 people a year, and I'm pulling these statistics, I'll stick them up in this post, die annually as a result of errors, medical errors, okay? And there's a lot of different types of medical errors that can happen in the hospital. Medication errors, you can be given the wrong medication, like one intended for another patient. You can be given the wrong dose or strength. You can be given meds that interact with each other, things like that. You can fall. There can be errors in surgery sites. There can be all kinds. You can get infections. We call them hospital-acquired infections. So you go in for one thing, and you get exposed to some kind of pathogen in the hospital that makes you very sick. There's all different kinds of medical errors. And the best really thing that we can do as patients is to have somebody with us that can be an extra set of eyes and ears and help us maneuver. Because when you're a patient, you're very vulnerable. That's one of the things that I hate about hospitals the most, which is crazy for me to say because I grew up in hospitals. My father was a surgeon. I actually loved hospitals. They're like home to me. My dad used to take me with him to the hospital, and when he would operate and park me in the doctor's lounge, and they would give me free ice cream and pat my head. And I love everything about hospitals until I became a hospital administrator and eventually a patient. And now I see it, from a different perspective. So I'm not blaming, doctors or nurses or any of the hospital staff. It's like any other industry, like bad things can happen. And in hospitals, because I was also a risk manager for many years, the bad things tend to happen at night. And that could be, I have lots of theories, we all do, about why that is. But the why isn't as important as the fact that it just really, really is important for you to have somebody with you. The other reason that I say that is because, in my experience, one of the most common accidents or mistakes or what have you that can happen, that can basically kill us in a hospital, is falls. And as someone with Parkinson's, with balance issues and other issues like low blood pressure, I feel like we're especially at risk for falling in the hospital. You wake up, you're in a strange place, in an uncomfortable bed. You're supposed to call the nurse to go to the bathroom. They don't come right away. You're like, oh, I'll just go by myself. You get tangled up in your IV lines. Bam, you fall. You land on your head. You can get a brain bleed. A lot of different bad things can happen. And again, I'm not a medical expert. I'm just telling you hypothetical situations that I personally would like to avoid. And one of the ways that you can avoid that is by having someone at all times in your room that's going to be there when you wake up and say, hey, babe, or hey, if it's somebody you pay, like a sitter, like, hey, Mr., hey, Mrs. So-and-so, like, you're in the hospital, it's okay, let me get the nurse, hold on, that kind of situation. I think a lot of times people think that, and I've seen it both ways, sometimes people think that it's a bother to have family members in the hospital with them, but it's not. There's actually, it's part of patients' rights that you can have someone stay with you. They have to allow someone to stay with you. If they don't, that's not allowed, okay? Some hospitals discourage it for a lot of different reasons, like, you know, are you going to ask for a tray of food, or like, are you going to be too chatty, or are you going to demand too much? But in my experience, a lot of, especially like really good nurses, welcome it. They welcome the extra eyes and ears, they welcome the extra hands, and if you're, you know, polite and respectful about it, it's a win-win for everyone. So I'm going to just quickly mention the statistics on falls too. So as of 2019, 700,000 to 1 million falls occur each year. Now, of course, not all those falls result in injury or death. There's different degrees of falls, but it's a shocking statistic that I think people should be aware of. There is a website called Hospital Compare. It's www.hospitalcompare, either .com or I think it's .gov. And if you go on it, it's something that the federal government cranks out that has data on these and a lot of other what we call quality metrics. And when you're looking for a hospital, you should look at those things and take that into consideration, because you will see that some hospitals have quite shocking fall rates and people just don't know about it. And that kind of data is publicly available. People should take the time to look at it. So anyway, this is just something, again, I think about for myself. I'm fortunate that I haven't been in the hospital that much. I could tell you stories about stuff that has happened to me the few times I've been there. Always fun and exciting and a little bit disturbing. But this is just my tip to myself and to you as well, so that we can all stay safe with Parkinson's. I hope this helps.